Tao. Good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to be here, and I'm sorry I could have to deliver the speech in English because I don't speak any Vietnamese, but I appreciate you all to listen to me. I'll speak very slowly, and I really want to spend the next 10 minutes sharing with you some of the insights that we've got from a measurement space to how this will impact you in the banking, finance, or your professional, industry to help us find out the new opportunity that we might not have known about. So before I begin, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Sunny, and I'm the head of global sales for Airbridge. And my job here in Airbridge is to help expand this company brand from a Korean brand to a global brand as well. So we're starting small. We're a small team in Hanoi, but we are actually looking to expand globally. So we also have teams not just in our headquarters in Korea, but we also have our team in Vietnam. We have our team in China and Turkey, and we'll soon have a team in the US as well. So we are definitely very excited to share a view from a measurement point of view, how from fraud to activation, from just not just in measuring and preventing fraud, but how do we activate and find new values for your particular company or your app as well. So today we will look into 4 different main topics. So we'll quickly go through why digital finance is very important in Vietnam. We'll quickly look into what are some of the challenges that most of you, if you're assuming you're marketers, you'll be facing, what makes your job is a little bit difficult. And we'll introduce a little bit more about what Airbridge does to help you navigate through these challenges and bring this to new values as well. To start with, just sharing with you a few stats on why you are in the right industry. So as we all know, Vietnam is a mobile-first nation. We're looking into estimation that it's close to 100 million smartphone users by the end of this year. And out of all of these app downloads, we all know, Vietnam is also one of the biggest mobile app markets. But more than 1/3 of them is actually finance-related apps. So we know about the banking apps, we know about some of the e-wallet apps, we know some of the P2P lending apps as well. These contribute to more than 1/3 of the total downloads back in 2024. And we're looking to 88% year-over-year growth, with 150 million estimated users using e-wallet as well. So just want to show you that we are all in the right industry. This is definitely a new and booming industry. Definitely we are at a tipping point where we're seeing that scalability to come up as well. But with any opportunities that always come with challenges, because we know that while we are very much pursuing all the new green field out there, there will be some challenges that will inhibit the growth and make the job difficult. Fraud, it's something that I think we all know it's very, very sensitive topic, and to everyone's heart that this is one challenge, especially if you're in the finance industry, that there are a lot of multiple frauds because of mainly 4 reasons. There are increasingly competitive market. Within your industry, within your similar app, there are a lot of others competitors coming in. This will actually drive a lot of CPI and CPA that you're facing. And because we're in the finance industry, we know that the user journey is much more complex. Not just in activation, but you're looking into the KCY, KYC, you're looking into multiple steps of verification, you're looking into multiple authentication steps as well. And one other reason why it is very attracted to fraud is because within the finance industry, there are a lot of PII and sensitive data that makes it a huge trove of valuable data for fraudster to actually cultivate and attack maliciously attack your app as well. Even though we are all aware of these fraud challenges, but why are we still struggling? Why is the job still not an easy job to work on? Because right now, if we speak to a lot of finance app, a lot of marketers in this space, we understand that a lot of us actually mainly focus on the install stage. For example, we're looking to which one is the fake install, which ones are the fraudulent clicks, which one are the ones that are not the real early stage traffic. But the truth is, fraudsters are also
evolving as well. They're getting smarter. They know that they can get through the install phase, and the real fraud that they commit sometimes actually happens, and most of the time it happens post-install as well. And the second part is a lot of marketers believe that their current measurement platform, their MMP, are good enough to prevent all the fraud itself. But the reality is that most of the providers right now, they're still running a black box experiment. We don't really understand where their fraud logic or the fraud prevention logic comes from. And that leaves a lot of a white space into, are we really preventing all of the fraud, or are we in the sense of security that should not be that comfortable. Number three is that there are we all, I'm sure a lot of you are also adopting a CRM platform to drive better engagement. But how are we using these data to help feed our CRM platform to drive better engagement? It seems we are also losing some of the visibility once it comes to post-install behavior. And also some of the early metrics like installs and registration, they are too good to actually raise any suspicions. So they're also missing a lot of invalid opportunities or any false opportunities there. And that's why it's actually very difficult for marketers right now to do your job well, because you have your KPI on installs or your activation awareness, but at the same time you also have to report you have to prevent all the frauds, all the different types of fake and invalid traffic. But it makes the job much more difficult because it means that without the right tools, it's almost impossible to find out how to detect and how to prevent them. So that's something that we think from Airbridge point of view, there are two things that's very important. Number one is the right mindset, and then number one is the tool set. So mindset is we really need to think differently, that frauds do not just come out during the user acquisition phase. It comes in after the post-install. It could come in multiple stages of your user journey, because there are a lot of really valuable data, PII data, like an activation data, lending, or purchase data that they would need to fraudster would love to obtain. So it's not just about blocking fraud, but understanding the fraudulent behavior across the entire user journey. And not just protecting your marketing budget, but thinking about what about the post-install events that will actually eventually define your ROI. And last but not least, not just relying on tools, but need to know what to raise questions, not to what to discover more about your tools. Are they giving you the right information? And then in terms of the tool set, so how do we make sure that there are multiple layers of fraud detection? Because now that we talk about fraud doesn't just happen pre-install, it also still happen post-install as well. And how do we make use of these data to make it value-adding? How do we communicate back with your CRM system? We'll also give you some examples of how we can actually work with multiple CRM systems. We know the CleverTap team is here, so we can also share a little bit more about that too. So, as we all know, the true cause of ad fraud is not just about wasting your ad budget and your ROI. There are actually more to that. The budget, ad budget, ROI, it's only a tip of the iceberg. But the deeper part of that is actually it will hurt your reputation. It will make inefficient retargeting, loss of a lot of compromise and trust from the user, and also just distort all the data analytics that you have. So that means because of fraud, that actually creates a lot of problems, not just on your ad budget and ad ROI, but eventually that will actually hurt your company's profitability, brand and reputation, and the user loyalty and the user stickiness as well. But the good news is that today we'll love to share a little bit more about what Airbridge does, and we actually look into why we are able to help a lot of our existing finance and banking customers resist some of the fraud that we see in the evolving world as well. Especially now that we know that with AI, with a lot of new tools, fraud becomes much more comes in much more different shapes and different forms, and also different stages as well. So that's why we are here to help you become a reliable co-pilot. We provide a well-rounded protection, and we hope to most importantly is to boost your efficiency in your job as well. And let me walk you through how we do that. So at Airbridge, we actually look into fraud in multiple layers because, like I mentioned, fraud doesn't just come in one phase. It comes in different forms. We know with the proliferation of AI, it can actually come in like different stages. It gets smarter and smarter. So that's why we look into fraud as a multi-layer shield. So we look into three main stages. The first part is the pre-attribution. The second part is the attribution, and the last part is like the post-attribution phase as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about the post-attribution because this is the most important. It's all about how we change data or fraud protection data into something to help you drive better revenue and customer engagement. But let me walk you through what is pre-attribution first. So pre-attribution, as you all know, these are things happen before the install, before they become the customer itself. And I will not go through all the details here, but we all know what are some of the common problems and some of the popular ones like device farm, non-targeted regions, click spamming, injections, few click mismatch as well. As we know, a lot of you, if you're using a MMP already, some of the tools that has been working on blocking IP addresses, setting a number of limits of the click share, detecting CTIT in real time. These are something that are most of the providers are looking into, and we do still think this is very important because this will be your first layer of protection or the prevention to actually block some of the fraudulent approaches. But like I said, fraudster is getting smarter. They're not just thinking about, oh, how do we get through the pre-install stage and get through that. They're looking into the next stage, which is during the attribution side. They could still appear as a valid install, but how do we actually define whether or not these are all fraud or non-fraud install? And I think this is the mindset shift that we should be thinking about the real value of what we are pursuing. We should not just be going after installs. We're not going after impressions. We should be going after the customer lifetime value. And in your case, in most of the banking and finance related apps, customer lifetime value comes in of all the in-app events, app context, and user behavior as well. So attribution, like I said, from one angle that we provide is that we're not just looking into the clicks and install. We're looking to where the in-app events are attributing towards. So some of the target events are completing your KYC, completing your sign-up, purchase, and in terms of the ad context, as an MMP, we don't look into just the click and install. We look into how we can actually identify, through other holistic data points, such as device type, IP address, OS version, the time of day that they installed. These will also be signals that we are using to determine whether or not they are valid install or not. Last but not least, this is also related to value, which is customer lifetime value, is that whether or not these are performing the genuine user behavior. If they're e-wallet app, have they actually installed, have they actually linked it to their bank account, any other financial products, have they completed the KYC. These will actually be something that you should be thinking about instead of just reporting the number of installs, how many of them are genuine, how many of them are not genuine. And with our second layer of shield, we were able to actually help you focus on the customer lifetime value. And for more of that, elaborating more how we actually do that. So Airbridge, actually, we use AI to help us, determine a lot of abnormal installs. So we're using AI-powered algorithms to help us tell what is better measurement and detect some of the anomaly. So we're looking into some of the suspicion installs, such as device ID, initialization, excessive reinstalls, excessive touch points, and no in-app events. These are all a part of a fraud reports that we can show you that how many of them, which channel it comes from, and actually attributed to which type of suspicious installs as well. And one part that was very different from other providers is that we give the control back to you. You're the one who actually set the fraud rules. We will be showing you all of these different activities, all the suspicion events, and you as a marketer, you can choose whether or not you want to set the rule that you want to treat them as non-attribution, that you want to treat them as fraud, you want to completely block them. This will be all upon your hands as well. Of course, we can actually recommend what would be the best approach, but we also want to give you back under control of how you want to use data, how you want to drive the data as well. So we talk a lot about prevention now, but what about the activation, because we like most of the MMP providers, they're doing pretty good at preventing fraud. But like after you prevent the fraud, then what else? What's next? That will be like the key part that really differentiate us as well. Because now that we want to talk about the post attribution, now that we know which one are the fraudster, which one are the really genuine user and genuine install, but what can we do with that? So I'm sure a lot of you have been using some sort of like CRM, either like an in-house built CRM or a third-party CRM system. What we actually really focus on is we really help our customers qualifies what are the genuine users and give all the business a better all-rounded data set. Like not just with attribution data, but we help push them into your CRM system to help you pinpoint and also to segment the right customers to give them the right customized engagement that you want your customers to be. To give you an example, I know CleverTap is here, so we definitely want to share with you they're one of our partners that we work with. So one example that I want to share here is that for example, once our customers used AirBridge to help get the genuine install attribution within our integration with CleverTap, we can easily send all these install attribution results from AirBridge to CleverTap via the CRM or any of a CRM solution that you're using. And then you can, within your CRM solution, you can use all these install attribution data to target, personalize, and change what would be the messaging or the activation engagement point that you want your customers to receive. For example, two different users here. The lady here, she would have interacted with one of the ads, perform an install by seeing an ad related to discount tickets, flight tickets, or some sort of an entertainment ticket. So within that, AirBridge will be able to send the data to your CRM system that this user come from, in this case, where the source is, which campaign it comes from, and which ad group it comes from. So within your CRM system, you can easily push the right message, push notification or email to the same user using the AirBridge data point as well. And similarly, for the male user, he was looking into how to use process their bills or pay their bills faster. And the push notification or the campaign that they can use is related to them as well. So this is how what we think the value comes back. It's not just about preventing fraud. Preventing fraud is just one first step. It's just helping you slice and dice and help you improve the ROI and the ROAS of your campaign and genuinely find who the real users are. But the most important value is how this actually contribute back into your business, which is growing your customer loyalty, growing your engagement, and using our partnership with multiple CRM system and solutions are the best example of how to leverage these points to drive value. Before I close, I wanted to share one case that we have worked with with one of a customer in Vietnam as well. So their name is Go to Joy. They are a hotel booking platform, and recently, we've done a case study with them. We helped them, block 90% of the fraud using our prevention tool. I won't go deep into the case itself, but what I wanted, I'll definitely more than happy to share with you the case study itself. But what happened was that I'll share a few highlight points. Is that previously with their previous MMP, they were not just seeing how the fraud validation is coming. They could see the big number of oh, there are definitely fraudulent traffic installs, but they were not given the visibility and was not able to tap into their CRM system to help them grow their existing engaging customers or the loyalty within the customers. So what they did was they were using all our fraud validation rules. They're using click spoofing, install spoofing, SDK spoofing, different multiple layers of the pre, post, and attribution rules, and help them achieve some of the remarkable results. Some of the results here I want to share is that they were able to block 90% of their fraud installs. So one thing you might have think about wow, that means if you're going to report to your manager or your boss, that means you lost almost a huge amount of install traffic. But however, because we were able to help them genuinely find who the right channels are, so they were able to move their budget to channels that actually help them drive genuine user with genuine in-app activities. So over 3 to 4 months, even though we blocked the initial fraudulent installs, we were able to actually drive the true installs by 10%. Because we were also all of our fraudulent measures and validation rules are all inclusive in our package. They were also able to minimize their MMP cost by 50%. And one thing that we were very happy to work with them was they were able to achieve a top 10 app store in the online travel category as well. So this is just one of a case that we have worked with a Vietnamese customer to help them identify what happened with their fraud, what went wrong, and eventually help them drive better value. Because out of all of these data point, what is the most important part is helping them drive the genuine installs. Of course, blocking the fraudulent installs is great, minimizing costs is great, but what we want to focus on is driving net new net revenue, net new value for companies and you all as well. So this is the end of my slide. Really appreciate you all spending some time with me, hearing it out as well. And I'm really my team is here as well. So I'm very happy to talk to you all after this presentation and see how we can actually explore some of the collaboration going after as well. So xin cảm ơn. Thank you very much and have a great day.